Hey guys, how's it going? I am, of course, in my car again, and I'm interested in having another one of our car chats. Although I have to say, I keep checking myself in the viewfinder, and I think these sunglasses make me look like a big blue bug. Is this what, I mean, is this a good, I don't know, maybe it's because of the angle of the camera or something, but I'm like, I'm not sure these are a good look. They look good in the picture when I bought them on the website at Target. But I don't know, they're quite reflective. I'm not sure. Anyway, I don't know. What do you think about my glasses? Yay or nay? Anyway, I hope that you're doing well. Today is an exceptionally warm and gorgeous day. It's one of those, it's that time of year though, you know, where you get dressed in like a parka in the morning because it's so freezing, and then by the middle of the day you like wish that you had like a tank top and shorts on because it gets so hot. At least I do, because I can't regulate body temperature very good. I hope that's not a sign of, oh crap. I was gonna say, I hope that's not a sign of like menopause. I mean, I know that's coming, maybe quicker than I'd like to admit. But I've actually always had a body temp issue. Like, for example, I am always freezing and my hands are ice cold unless it's warmer than 75 degrees. And so anyway, it's just a really gorgeous day, and I've got the AC on in the car, which like never happens. And so this is very exciting. I've got a lot of work that I need to do later at home, and I'm seriously going to consider doing it outside on my back porch with probably a cup of coffee, but I'm thinking maybe a glass of wine. It's after lunch already, so that's okay. Anyway, what I realized that I wanted to talk to you about today was on my drive into work, I've been listening to a book on Audible during my drive. I don't have a code or anything, so this isn't going to be now a conversation for me like plugging how wonderful and the fabulousness that is Audible. I'm sure you could find a code and get like a free bonus book or whatever. But anyway, I use Audible. Actually, I don't have a subscription right now because I don't really appreciate their pricing structure. I don't like the automatic payments. I guess you can do it by the book, but then it's like, I don't know. I currently do not have a membership, but I have a series of books that I've already purchased and I have stored. So before I tell you what the book is, let me just remind you that my original career and my just general preference of what I enjoy, I have a master's in social work, but my bachelor's is in psychology, and so I love psychology and cognitive psychology and the way people think, and like behavioral psychology. Those things are like fascinating to me. I will watch TV shows about it. I would take more classes about it right now. I'm really fascinated by the way people think and the way they behave. So I happened to see kind of a listing for this book. It's called The Like Switch, and it's written by a former FBI agent who then retired and went back and got his, I think, his doctorate in psychology, since a lot of what he did in dealing with other people was based on psychology. So I hope this is interesting to you, because now I'm about to talk about it. So basically what the like switch is about, the premise and the preface of the book, is how to get other people to like you. I mean, that seems like that's something we would want to be able to be, you know, skilled at. We want other people to like us. We don't want to be phony about it, but we basically want to be able to put our best foot forward and make a good impression, you know. And so the psychology of what people interpret as a friendly behavior or an unfriendly behavior, that's kind of where the psychology comes into it. So I like the idea of how, for example, like law enforcement or whoever, doctors or medical professionals or teachers or, you know, anybody, and in my job as well, you have to make a connection with people in order to be able to work with them, and whatever that means for your, you know, career or your position. So then it also works out for you personally, because if you can get people to like you, and he actually talks about that, like how to pick, if you're a guy, how to pick up women in a bar and whatever, which I agree with just a little bit, but you'll have to listen to the book in order to get the full story. But I like the premise of this book. So the reason that I bring it up, though, I'm sorry, that was a really long introduction, but I wanted to make sure that you weren't confused about where the heck it was I'm coming from, because this is a little bit random. So, growing up, I had mentioned before that I was kind of overweight my entire life, and I'm not even going to justify it. I was going to say not tremendously overweight, but whatever. I wasn't thin, and when you're young, it seems to, my impression was that it seems to matter more. So growing up, and at the time, I did not have this fabulous love life. In fact, at the time, I would almost consider myself a loser. I can't believe I just said that out loud. But I didn't, I wasn't this like major dater, and I didn't have this like long history of relationships or, whatever. And when I was growing up, and as a teenager, etc., I kind of attributed it to the fact that I was overweight, because that seemed like that was the easiest thing to blame it on. And yes, when we are younger, physical appearances do mean a little bit more than they should, but not for everybody. Not every single other 17-year-old, let's say male at that time, had the same idea that every woman or every girl had to be a size 2. So you couldn't make that as a legitimate generalization, but at that time I did. And I was like, and I would be confused also, because even though I was telling myself that I was single because I was not physically attractive, I would see other people who were not skinny or thin, or they weren't whatever the typical stereotypical size 2 was. I would see other people, other girls, who were my size and who had boyfriends, and I never allowed myself to process that was an okay thing, or that it didn't necessarily have to only do with what I weighed. But my self-esteem was just non-existent, and so that was where I put the blame. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't allow myself to process that people of all shapes and sizes were hooking up and in relationships. And I wish I could talk to myself back then. That's a whole other conversation, what I would tell my younger self. Actually, that's a good idea. Maybe one day I'll do that. But that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I'd like to kind of hit myself over the head, basically, and be like, wake up. It isn't all about, how much you weigh, let's say. So it's interesting in this book, and this is why I bring up the conversation, I realized that as I was growing up, I definitely had a vibe, a bad vibe. I was giving off a bad vibe, clearly, because, like I said, other people, irrelevant of what they looked like, were able to be in stable, long-term relationships, or flings even, they're hooking up or whatever. And I'm like, I'm coming to realize, and I've kind of had this idea kind of in my adulthood. I kind of look back on that time, and I wonder, what was going on, and what was I thinking, and all that kind of stuff. So I've kind of been wondering, is this true? And now this book has like validated me like completely, because the author is talking about how you can put off this nonverbal vibe, basically. And I definitely had a vibe. Whether it was because of my lack of self-esteem and, the way I felt about myself, or even just the way that I looked, maybe I thought I didn't, although I really tried to look nice, it wasn't like I just kind of gave up and didn't do anything. But even though I believed that I was trying to make myself, look nice, I was still giving off this energy that I was unapproachable, and I think that being the biggest thing, I was just not friendly. I think I was, but there must have been, I was always a friendly and I was always a nice person, but when it came to that, kind of developing a relationship realm, I guess I just wasn't feeling it so much that I was giving off a vibe. Today, now they call it the, the RBF. the resting bitch face. I still have that to this day. You want to know why I know I still have that to this day? Because my makeup still creases in between my eyebrows. I have like the significant Great Divide going on. I have this one, it's not even a wrinkle. It's like a fold that's in between my eyebrows, because I am constantly, when I'm like looking around, when I'm just kind of looking around, I'm like this. That is not a friendly face. I don't understand how I thought at some point, oh, these glasses just totally kind of ate me alive here. Okay. But I don't know how I thought that that was going to make me approachable or friendly. People like other people who are in a good mood, to have a good time. Nobody wants a downer. And it had nothing to do with what I looked like. It had to do with what it looked like in my own head, what I looked like in my own head. But other people and other, you know, potential boyfriends or whatever, they didn't necessarily care. Oh my God, I'm so mad at myself. I've always said, like, if there is such a thing in reincarnation, which I do believe in, that's a whole other conversation right there. But if there is such a thing as reincarnation, and we came back as humans, hopefully, or I came back as a human, I was always sad because I didn't want to have to redo high school, because that for me was a very difficult time. I just didn't feel like I was worthy or worth it or whatever you want to call it. Now I'm kind of thinking, I need high school again. I need to go in with a fresh mindset and a fresh mental perspective, irregardless of what I look like, because I really think, and I don't, it's not that I'm regretting it. I'm saying this more as a healthy level of self-awareness. I cheated myself with this self-imposed vibe and attitude that I had, and this talking negative to myself and just kind of tearing my own self down. Nobody else even had to do it. I was doing it to my own self. I was responsible for it. And I think this is really important to reflect on something that happened way too many years ago that I don't even want to count. Like, for example, when I was a teenager and in high school. But it winds up becoming really valuable, and this is why I love psychology and I love social work and I love working with people, because you can use it to build on it. And now I know that what I put out there is what I will get. Basically, that whole essence of whatever you put out in the universe will come back unto you. You know, I find that now I am so easygoing. Like, I do not have time or patience for BS. You know, I hate the drama. Like, I just need like a nice and happy life. And I love to laugh, and I love to make other people laugh. I am constantly telling jokes and teasing other people in a nice way, of course, because my goal is always to make other people feel good. And so when you tease them sometimes, or you tell a joke and you make somebody laugh, never in a mean way, of course, but you make somebody laugh, everybody feels good, and everybody wants, you know, to be around the person who's making other people laugh. And I've learned that, and I think I'm funny. I hope I'm funny. Maybe they're not laughing with me. Maybe they're actually laughing at me. I would prefer that everyone was laughing with me, but I've taken this kind of self-reflection over just how much of an impact all of that negative self-talk that I had towards myself when I was young, and how it actually literally impacted my ability to even develop or even begin relationships. I mean, it completely closed me off. And so I use that now as valuable information and as a tool, so that I can, you know, because you meet people all the time, you want them to like you. But I'm just saying, a majority of the reason that I was single a lot when I was younger was my own darn fault, because I had a vibe. And I know this because the former FBI agent in my Audible book has been telling me so in the morning on my way to work. And so I'm not going to criticize myself over it. I'm going to grow from it. And I wanted to enlighten you, I suppose, a little bit. But more, I just wanted to put it out there that I had a vibe. It was a bad vibe. Nobody wants a bad vibe. I don't want a friend with a bad vibe. Who wants a bad vibe? Hey guys, I am totally just chill right now, and oddly aware that all of my neighbors could see me right now. But I am doing some work. It's a gorgeous day. I'm working from home this afternoon and I'm out on my porch and I'm doing my paperwork, enjoying this fabulous weather, and I'm like totally in jammies. But I wanted to show you something because it's just really so cute. Oh, hold on, let me turn off my music. That was just some Goo Goo Dolls. Oh my gosh, that totally brings me back. Anyway, I wanted to show you, I left my back door open so that my kids could come in and out. And we've got a neighbor who sometimes has a dog. Like, the dog doesn't live there, but sometimes my neighbor has a visitor who has dogs, who brings, her dogs over. And Bella is keenly aware of this. I've been out here for about 3 hours now, and she has not moved. This is the position that she assumed when I first opened the back door. Well, let me show you. Bella right now is sitting as close to the porch railing as she can, trying to, I don't want to show you my neighbor's house, but trying to wait and spot a doggie if at any point it winds up happening and said doggie winds up visiting. She hasn't moved. She's just hanging out. Usually, I have to tell you, usually she sits with me. Usually she's stuck to me like glue. I mean, like, she's like textbook dog, like heels right next to me, actually listens to what I say, is only interested in being with me, except when potential doggy friend might be outside next door, and she hasn't moved. She's a little lazy, probably a little bit overweight now at this point as well, but I've put on a couple pounds too, so that's no surprise.